Welcome to Inside of a Miracle. I'm your host, Sheila Martin Askew, and I just got flooded with so many emails about this testimony. Praise God, praise God. I have been sharing a portion of my testimony in the last broadcast about my death experience. And because we had just finished Easter, I wanted to share my resurrection story because it's truly one of that. I'm here now, but when I was 19 years old and had been serving as a missionary in the island of Trinidad and Tobago for a number of years, but I had just started, and about 6 months in, I got really homesick, decided to go home. I went home, went to visit some family friends who had supported my ministry so vigorously and generously to help support what I was doing there with books and material and equipment and food and shelter and all of that for the first 6 months that I'd been there. I wanted to go and show them videos of what I was doing and what their contribution had been making a great impact in. Went to visit them, and they said that when they opened the door, I'd fallen into their foyer on face first, and they put me in the kitchen and called the paramedics. Well, you'll have to look at part one to get all of that. But I ended last week with being in the morgue um, after subsequently 3 heart attacks where I flatlined. By the time they got me to the emergency room, I had flatlined again. They defibrillated me and they could not bring me back. On the other side, I was experiencing seeing Jesus lifting my hands to reach him because he was sitting on a cloud. But they in the ambulance saw me reaching my hands. What I was doing on the other side, my body was mimicking on the living side, for lack of a better word. And they thought I was reaching for oxygen in the ambulance, but I wasn't. I was reaching for Jesus' hand. When I flatlined the third time in front of the emergency room, they didn't take me into the emergency room. They backed up and decided to, of course, take me to the morgue. They pronounced me dead on arrival. And they have pressure points where they can put your body, if you've found dead in different positions, they know how to have pressure points to put your body in a different place. But they tried all the pressure points and my hands would not go down. So they put me in a morgue with a sheet from my armpit down to my feet and from my shoulders over to my head. I was in that morgue drawer. They put me in the drawer for 5.5 hours. So I was in the morgue longer, but they finally put me in the drawer 5.5 hours. I was in the drawer for 5.5 hours. I was probably in the morgue a little longer. The paramedics who had brought me in were still there 5.5 hours plus longer, trying to write a report that made sense. They just couldn't understand how a 19-year-old black female could have a massive heart attack. If you see my x-rays, my heart has broken in two. It's totally like it's been ripped apart. And they said that people who have this type of heart attack are normally found clutching their chest when they find them because the pain is so excruciating. Well, I wasn't clutching my chest. I was reaching up to Jesus because I saw him. And so they're trying to figure out how to do that. There was a forensic doctor who was a pathologist as well. And he was hearing the commotion in the doctor's area about this black female. And so he decided to help these guys out and do a quick preliminary, what you call it, autopsy, so that they could write a report that made sense and to find the cause of death. So that's where I want to start off at now. So here it is. We're in the morgue. They take me out of the drawer and prepare me. Um, I don't know who took me out of the drawer, but I'm out of the drawer and I'm laying on this metal slab. And now it's kind of difficult to try to explain this because in heaven there's no time. I felt like I had been there for a long time. I mean, 5.5 hours. No, I was there for weeks, it seemed, because I saw heaven. I saw, and I'm going to talk about that, the things I saw. I mean, I had a tour. It was exhaustive. Flowers and children, and uh, I'm going to tell you about it. But it was not 5.5 hours for me. It was, there's no time. Months, weeks, definitely. Minimum weeks, not 5.5 hours. But the time on this plane is chronological. The time in heaven, there is no time. It's eternal. There's no time. There's no time. You see everything. It's like looking at a caboose, a train that has let's say a train that has 12 sections. If I go aerial, I can see all 12 sections at one time. That's what heaven is like, and that's what God sees. He can see the beginning and the end all at the same time. We can only see one car at a time. He can see all 12 cars, track, where the destination is, and where it came from, all at one time. So that's the best way I can kind of explain eternity. So I'm I'm on this table, and after my tour of heaven, and he shared things with me, and taught me things, and told me about my life and certain things going to happen in my future, which that's been 40 years now, and it's definitely happened. I am in that part. Um, but here it is. I'm on this table, and when it's time for me to come back, I did not want to come back. Was not happy because I knew it was my time. Yes, I was 19. Yeah, but the Bible says that he numbers our days. He knows how long we will be on the planet. From the time we're born to the time we die, our days are numbered. You know, God can sure increase them or decrease them, but there is a appointed time. For me, 19 was it. For some people, it can be 90. For some people, it could be 3 years old. For some people, it could be 103. It's just the purpose of what we're there for. And obviously, my purpose was to do what I had already done. Because from the time I met Christ at 16 to 19, I had done television programs and um, I had done a lot. I had done a lot because I had had an angelic visitation when I was 16 before I even knew about Christ. That's how I was introduced to the miraculous and to the supernatural. I don't know why. It was me. I don't know why. I don't know why that was the route for me, but that is the route that I know. That's what I know. Okay. So I'm on this table. I hear you saying, "Come on, tell the story." All right. I'm on the table and I'm smiling because I'm smiling now, but I wasn't smiling then. So I'm on this table, and after we have a discourse in heaven, and I was told I had to come back because he needed me to come back to tell what I've learned in heaven. He needed me to let people know that heaven is real, that He is loving, that the things that are happening on the earth is not. He's not doing that. That is the enemy, the small G God, Satan, devil. You can call him whatever you want, Lucifer, whoever. There was things he wanted me to convey to the world that he loves, to the world that he died for, to the world that he rose up. So, he died for a world because he loved it, so that we could have a bridge to come to God the Father. And then he rose again to ensure that that policy works. So, next thing I know, I saw myself falling on my side of heaven. I fall. I felt myself falling. And when I fell, I don't know, out of heaven, I don't know what you want to call it. The next thing I remember was doing that. I I inhaled, my lungs filled with air, and then my eyes opened, and I feel something over my eyelid. So my brain tells my body, figure out what that is. So I go to move, and I can't move my legs. I'm realizing the immediate sensations I felt was frozen cold, being paralyzed. I was frozen cold, and I could not move. The only thing I could move was from my elbow right here to my wrist. So I did like this, and I'm reaching over, and I pulled whatever it was over my head. Didn't know what it was, and I pulled it down. When I pulled it down, I had a familiar smell, hospital sheets. Because when I was 16, I had facial cancer. That's another testimony. That's why I received the angelic visitation, which healed me. I had a sense of familiarness, and it was hospital sheets. So I pulled it down, and I could see that it was sheets. Now I'm focusing my eyes. I'm looking around. I'm looking around. I'm looking around. And my eyes are focusing now. They were blurry, but they're focusing. You know, like you get a picture and it's blurry, but you keep tweaking it and it gets focused, and then you're looking and okay, I'm in a room with meat lockers, with meat lockers all around the room on both sides. And then over to the far right, there's this man in a white jacket in front of a metal table, and he has a bottle in his right hand, and he has a syringe, a needle in his left hand. And when I look at him, I'm watching him, and he sticks the needle in the bottle, and he's pulling something out of the bottle. So, I'm watching this and trying to figure out, where am I? And then here's the kicker for me. I go to kind of move, and I realize I can't move. I'm really frozen. And I look down, and I didn't have on any clothes. I didn't have on any clothes. I was naked. What? Uh-uh. Now, all these memories are flooding me. Okay, wait a minute. I remember going to my friend's house. I had clothes on. I know I had clothes on. Okay, where are my clothes? Who took off my clothes? Now, I'm a Christian lady, and I'm a modest Southern girl. Okay? We don't do naked. We don't do naked. Oh, no. Not in public. Not, no. So, when I realized I didn't have on any clothes, I looked over at that man, and he was still pulling stuff out, and he was working with something, and he was doing this, and I said, "Excuse me," and he acted like he didn't hear me. Okay, but he kind of jumped. So all I could do was get up on my elbows because everything else was frozen. So I got up on my elbow, still laying down, and I said, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me where my clothes are?" Folks, I'm laughing now, but I wasn't laughing then. When I asked that man where my clothes was, and he realized that I was talking, this man was so cool. He never said, I'm telling you, never said a word. But he was bald and he was short. And the top of his head, he was a white man, and the top of his head was going from going from flush to pink to red. His whole face looked like he had a beet rash or something. And I said it again. I said, "Excuse me, sir, where are my clothes?" Next thing you know, his head went red. He dropped the bottle and it splattered with the liquid and everything on the floor. He dropped the needle and he kind of moseyed up to the desk, to the little medicine cabinet desk. And then I said, "Sir, I know you hear me. Where are my clothes?" This man walked up to the medicine cabinet. Then he turned back. So I don't know how to describe it without demonstrating it. But I'm up this way, okay? He's down that way, all right? But he turns and put his back to the wall and he starts sliding, generally walking this way up the wall towards my direction. Well, I didn't know that the door was behind my head and that's where he was headed. All I knew was I don't have on any clothes. This man has probably assaulted me or something because somebody took my clothes off. And he's now, when I asked him where my clothes were, he's now walking towards me, but he's walking towards me against the wall, sliding like this. Now I'm this way. He's looking this way. He never looked my way. He's looking this way, but he's sliding this way. He's sliding this way. He's looking this way, and I'm this way. Okay, you had to have been there. You had to have been there. So, so I'm thinking I have been violated, sexually assaulted. I mean, I'm 19 years old. What am I going to think? What? Come on. I'm back in this side now. Okay. Totally forgotten what had happened at the moment because it's happening too quickly, right? Didn't want to come back at all. And now I'm coming back and I'm naked and the man won't answer my question. Oh, come on. This is a little bit too much. So he's coming towards me. So I'm thinking he's either going to kill me because I'm talking to him, or maybe he knocked me out. And I still haven't processed the fact that I'm in the morgue. I just know I don't have on any clothes. I asked the man what's going on. He's not answering me, but he's sliding up the wall towards me. So, um, hey, I'm not no wimp now. I've been cutting down trees, dealing with anacondas in Trinidad. No, I can handle myself. So I leaned up, and from my weight, I'm telling you, waist down, nothing, totally stiff. Only thing I got is this right here, from here up on both sides. So I grabbed that sheet and I slide myself off that table and I'm leaning against the table because I can't do nothing else. Because I'm thinking, if this man comes over to me, I'm going to use whatever I got right here. It's going to be on. It's the truth. And so I'm watching him. Imagine this, y'all. I'm watching him. I'm watching him. He keeps coming. He's coming. He's coming. Now he is a couple of a couple of inches from me, right? And when he gets in front of me, he looks at me. He looks that way, which is the door. I didn't know it. He looks at me again. He looks that way, and he looks at me again like he's trying to put this all together. And then the next thing you know, that man, next thing I know, that man went right past me, and I heard these doors go, boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And I looked, and I said, "Oh, a door! I didn't know there was a door. I can get away." So I grabbed the sheet, and I slid off the table, and I hit that floor, that marble floor, that cold floor. Everything was cold. Everything was cold. And so I'm using my elbows. Nothing, my waist, nothing, my legs. I'm dragging my legs, my whole torso, my whole body, my whole lower body. I'm dragging it to the door, to the door. I'm dragging it. When I get like to the door, of course, they got those little windows in the door. I'm looking and I see the man who just ran out of here looking, and he's saying something to somebody. He's agitated and he's pointing and he's like whatever. And then I see other people look and they're looking down at me. So I'm thinking it's a whole kidnap game. I'm thinking it's a whole kidnap game, right? And now they're going to kill me because I can see all of them, right? Because tell me, if I get away, I'm telling it all. So they're all talking, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get through this door. Next thing happens, they open the door, and when they open the door, they literally open it inside. I don't know how to describe it, but I am. They open the door out like this, but I'm right there at the door. So when they open the door, they hold the door open, and they have a jacket that's got buckles on it. Somebody had this big long um, thing that I guess you poke things with or something. It's long, and I guess nobody was touching me. And then they had some other stuff. It was two ladies. It was two other men, and the little man who ran out of here. He was in the background. He wasn't going nowhere else, but he was supervising. But he wasn't going nowhere else in that room. So it was just like it was a silent command. Everybody froze. I'm looking up at them on the floor. Imagine on the floor. I'm looking up at them. They're looking down at me, and nobody's moving. And then, as if a silent command, they just dove on me, and I'm fighting, I'm biting, I did, I bit some of them. I was punching, and the next thing I know, I felt something go in my back. It was a needle, and I went out. And when I came to with this sound, beep, 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 beep. It was my heart monitor. Beep, 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 beep. Now, that's what brought me back from whatever they gave me. Now, I am in a room in a single bed with a light over my head, hooked up to all of this stuff, and beep, heart monitor. I'm looking at the heart monitor, and it's beeping, and my heart is going up and down, up and down. It has rhythm. And the room is dimly lit. Other than the light over my head in the bed, nothing. I have on a gown now. And then I look in the room, and at the foot of my bed, sitting down in a chair, is my mother. And I'm looking at her, and it's dark. And I'm looking at her, and I said, Mommy? And she's just shaking her head, and her eyes are all puffy. You could tell she's been crying. She's got tissue, and she's just wiping her nose. And I said, Mommy, what's going on? And she just grabbed my hand, and she just said, It's okay, honey. It's okay, honey. I said, Mom, what's going on? Where am I? And she just started crying. And I'm like, Mommy, what's happening? So I guess my heart was going beep, 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 because I'm getting excited. My mother's upset. She's crying. What has happened? And the paramedics, the nurses come in, and they say, she's awake. And so some nurses come in. Eventually, the paramedics come in, and we piece this story out. They told me, you had a heart attack. Your heart, we took the x-ray, your heart exploded in your body. We tried to take you out of the ambulance, but your hands were reaching up in the air. You were reaching for oxygen. And I said, no, I wasn't reaching for oxygen. I was reaching for Jesus. And I started to share with them what I experienced in heaven. And time is running out. I'm going to have to next episode, we will talk about what I saw in heaven. It's amazing. If this testimony is blessing you, you got comments, you got questions, please email me at insideofamiracle2@gmail.com. Go to my website, chat me, prayer requests, reach out to me from misaministriesinternational.com. I'd love to hear from you. But until next week, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and give you his peace and his joy. This is resurrection year for you. Resurrection year. Resurrection year. Believe that. Until next week. Bye.